Okay, awesome. Oki, Nagana go, Mekoche, Chastakomaki. My name is Michelle Robinson, and I am here with Stephanie. I'm honored to be on the Blackfoot territory. In 1877, the Blackfoot had already had the Stoney Nakoda, Wesley, Chiniki, Bears Paw nations allowed in their territory. The Tsuut'ina, the Dene from Tsuut'ina, and then I acknowledge all First Nation, Métis, Inuit status and non-status across Turtle Island as the keepers of these lands. So Stephanie, really glad you're here with me today. But unfortunately, we have to really get right down to talking about why we're together, because we are not getting the coverage that we should be about what is happening. And so to give folks an idea of what has been going on in Canada, we've been talking about missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit for over a decade now, and longer when you include all of the folks that were doing it long before I ever got to this place. And you know, it's we got the inquiry. We have 231 calls to justice, and we're still fighting the government from, allowing our people that are in landfills to get a proper burial. That's where we're at. And now we have 4 families. We don't know who the person is, and we've called one of those people Buffalo Woman. She is also a part of this, and we're trying to honor her the best we can. Meanwhile, Canadians are having Timmies and going to hockey games and, mad that, oh boy, Steph, here in Calgary, we have people who are mad that, Indian residential school survivors, 60 Scoop survivors, who are houseless. They're mad at them for being in warm spaces like a C train station. One photographer even took pictures of them, tagged, Calgary Transit, so that Calgary Transit could send their goons out to dismantle, 6 folks with addictions. Like, I'm so sick to my stomach. And we have all the centrists on the side of oppression, like, well, I see the both sides to this. Like, come on. Where are we, Stephanie? Where is humanity?
I'm very, lately I have no words, and
Right?
that is unusual for me. Very unusual for me. And it's a lot of because I'm feeling so much at this time, and we're feeling so much, and it's mostly outrage. Like it's outrage. This is horrific. This is critical. This is urgent. This is again, over and over again, proven genocide. Like, when are people going to get it, right? So here's the thing: is like the agenda, right? The agenda of this country, right, is just keeping everyone, fear, control, underpaid, cost of living, overtaxed, doing everything they can to really distract us out of what the need is and what the survival is, right? So a lot of Canadians are just taking it up the tailpipe and walking to work every day and have their blinders on, and this is where people are sticking their heads in the sand while the rest of us are dying in the desert.
Right, and putting out amazing statements. I wanted to read this one to you. We were chatting in our national kind of private chat there, and it's the womenshomelessness.ca. They put out this fantastic statement. I have been sharing it, and it is not getting any traction whatsoever. But I post a picture of nice beaded shoes, and yeah, that gets lots of traction. So anyway, this statement: demand for urgent action to protect the lives of Indigenous women, girls, Two-Spirit, and gender diverse people experiencing homelessness. And then I'll just read it. The alleged serial killer in Winnipeg accused of murdering 4 Indigenous women, targeting soup kitchens and homeless shelters. The National Indigenous Housing Network, the Women's National Housing and Homeless Network and the Aboriginal Housing Management Association demand that a national state of emergency be declared with respect to the failure to eliminate homelessness among Indigenous women, girls, Two-Spirit, and gender diverse people across Canada. They call for an immediate provision of adequate housing for all Indigenous women, girls, Two-Spirit, and gender diverse people who continue to face colonial violence and cultural genocide in Canada and across Turtle Island. The only disagreement I would have with that is cultural genocide. It's actual genocide.
Yeah.
So, I just, and then it goes on. It's fabulous. It's like one of the best statements I've seen. And you think you and I could get frickin' traction on it. God.
Yeah, no, this has been frustrating. So myself, April Eve, and I in Edmonton here, April does a lot of the lead for our rallies and marches, and she and I have noticed the last couple of years that the media does not support what we were doing anymore. They've kind of fallen off.
Yep.
And it seems that, whenever the death is there, whenever the ugliness is there, wherever the darkness is, you'll find their flashing lights. But when it comes to something as urgent and as horrific and as truthful as what we need them to do right now, as they're failing us all over again. But then they're a part of we have this love-hate relationship with the media. They need to be accountable in all of this, right?
Yes.
So they're contributing to the problem as well. And then we want them to tell truth. And it's just such a controlled information that is now media as a part of this agenda, where we can't, like, where do we go to trust? Where do we go to trust? We're fighting, we're screaming, we don't know where to go, where they're actually gonna see us as human beings who are surviving a genocide and a strategic planned oppression. So
Yes.
it's horrible. And like in Winnipeg, it's very common just to go and murder an Indigenous person. It's like an everyday kind of thing there. And it's the public is accepting that. And the public, by what they don't do, that is the loudest thing we hear and the biggest thing we see is what
Yes.
they're not doing, what they're not saying. And as an Indigenous person, I feel very, very even more unsafe, forgotten, targeted. Like we are literally targets,
Yes.
and this is something that is I just don't know. I don't want to be nice about this anymore. We shouldn't be nice about this anymore. We've been trying to have pride and grace and some kind of, but we can't. This is getting fucking ridiculous. I can't believe that we're sitting here and we have to do it this way in order to be heard and to get the truth out there. It has to be done this way.
I
So
know.
it's important that you open this space, that you give this platform, Michelle. It's critical what you're doing. So I am just so overwhelmed with so many feelings,
Yes.
like I just feel so, the floodgates are open now. The floodgates are open. And I just want every Canadian to care about what's happening to human beings in this country.
It is absolutely shocking to me how there is not more public outrage. And especially here we are, the anniversary of in I don't know more, and you would think people would be listening now. And I think what you said at the very beginning about how they're so distracted with inflation or whatever else that they are purposely ignoring all of the rest of this. And I can't imagine the amount of privilege you must have to be able to walk those streets safely. I actually got in a bit of a scuffle with my dad on the phone because I was telling him about Sunday we had a drag show, all ages drag show. So the kids will be coming to this one. And we were protecting the venue, and the police were literally pushing the bigots into us because they wanted them off the streets instead of like creating a line, as I've seen in previous ones. So like the police are in on it, right? Like they are absolutely not following any of the TRC, not following the inquiry guidelines, nothing. And back to your media point, It's in both the TRC, both the inquiry, and they aren't implementing their, like, the racism is so clear in this country, and yet people are just pretending like it's not there, and that is a privilege. Like, and people were angry that Deconstructing Karen came out. I'm like, you need to deconstruct Canada. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, why can't we have a voice at the table? Why are we purposely kicked out of the NDP, purposely not included at municipal? Like, I was telling somebody who's Indigenous, who's thinking about getting serious about municipal politics. I'm like, dude, like, don't listen to white voices. Redlining is the genderfied hippie way of saying segregation, and that's what it is. It's like, get these natives out of here. And how many times in a day do you read, do you hear, go back to reservations?
Yeah. And here's the other thing. We got the National Action Plan coming out, right? So at least they changed it to peoples. I'll give them that. But I'm just saying is that, at least they changed it to peoples, because our men and boys should not have been left out of that inquiry, should not be left out of anything when there's like hundreds and hundreds. I believe there's like 700 murdered and missing Indigenous men and boys in the province of Alberta.
Yeah,
So I'm glad that they did that. But here's the thing, and I got to work on 2 provincial action plans for the National Action Plan, and I got to lead one of them, and I brought in Carrie Thomason, and we were able to lead from ground level, which is huge. It was historical. It was for the first time ever, and we proved that it's needed at grassroots, and that the people say, we go to the people. That's where you find the truth. That's where you find the need, and so now the TRC did the best they can, even though the entities would not give them everything that they needed, right? Never, there's a lot of files still not given. And Murray Sinclair did a wonderful job with what he had been given,
yes.
which wasn't everything. So that is not upon the Indigenous people's fault, but the entities of trying to protect themselves. They didn't want that truth coming out, right? So they did everything they could until they found the kids in the ground, right? So that there's that truth out in the world now. But with the National Action Plan coming out again, is there going to be one of those glorified tours up here again that leaves everybody out and just opens their wounds and then leaves again? Because that national inquiry was a pretty glorified tour, and here we have the proven genocide and nothing lawful. Now, if we would have took all those millions of dollars and put them to the ground with the people and advocates who are doing the action and are with the families, this would have been a different country. This would have been different for our families and our people. But as long as it stays up here, it doesn't work. And we have a lot of Indigenous organizations who say they're doing the work, and then they just stay up here. That doesn't work. That doesn't work for us.
Just to absolutely amplify your point there, 100%. So I was at the longest night of the night here in Calgary. Apparently this is like, worldwide, but there was 2 gentlemen who created it here, and it's their annual event that they do to honor all the homeless people that die over the course of a year. This year it was 243 in just Calgary alone. Like let's understand the gravity of that number. And you and I both know that was disproportionately Indigenous people. We know that. That's why this statement was so important to put out there. I didn't see any Indigenous people organizations there at all. So they brought in, thankfully, I sure hope they paid them. They brought in, it seemed like one family. The elder did a prayer. He wasn't allowed to smudge in City Hall. So to me, that's like a violation of our inherent rights and another example of shitty treaty partners. And there were dancers like the Miss Sixica, she danced, and there was a grass dancer, and I posted on TikTok. I don't have the memory to remember everybody's name, but it was also covered by mainstream media. And that's kind of the point, that, they don't want to hear our names, don't want to hear our stories, don't want to hear solutions on how to fix it, but they sure want to take pictures of a native dancer, right?
Yeah. They come in and really, really inappropriate times and just give that platform and send out when we're in the dark, because they want us to remain in the dark, right? And that is not all of our identity, even though we survive in the dark in this country every day. So the light is ourselves, of coming back to ourselves, bringing back our spirits and loving ourselves, valuing ourselves. We never put ourselves in unsafe situations. But even if we were in a safe situation, we are still targeted because we are Indigenous straight across the board. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're sober, you're powerful, you're safe, you're in this beautiful home in this beautiful area. It doesn't matter. You're Indigenous, you're in danger. And that's what we're seeing in this country. So how do we have any kind of unity or reconciliation on the foundation of racism and the Treaty Act and the Indian Lands Act and residential school and everything that they've pushed and pulled from us, right?
Yeah.
And outlawing our ceremonies and all of that. They were scared. They were scared of our power, but here we are trying to take back that power. But we can't be nice about this anymore. We
No,
can't be nice about this anymore. We
no.
are angered. We are outraged. We just want everyone else to feel the same way we're feeling. We feel very unsafe.
Yeah.
I feel for my people, and I also have our people trying to hide their identity
Yes.
because they want to feel safer. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Yeah.
So I want to teach our people, we got to be proud of who we are. And
Yeah.
then they're like, okay, Stephanie, but we got to be safe. I want to hide.
Yeah.
I
I
want to
know.
hide.
And I
So
don't blame people for that. Like, cause I get targeted
yeah,
now, right?
you
Because
know,
I do wear proudly our jewelry. I wear my hair long. I'll proudly wear a sweater that has something native on it. Like, I'll wear that and get targeted, whether it's denied service at a hotel, don't stay at the Red Deer Radisson if you ever get an opportunity. Whether it's whatever, we get followed in the mall, whatever. It's all the
all of
time,
it,
all the time,
all of
all
it.
day long. It doesn't matter how accomplished you are, and that was the wake up call for me. I was, downtown drafting wells and pipelines, having a good job, not thinking about our issues as Indigenous people, went and had the audacity to have a child at the Peter Lougheed. And they were like, whoa, 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 Native woman here, red flag, red flag. And it was a brutal wake up call as to what systemic racism actually is. A
Yes,
status
absolutely.
woman has the audacity to have a baby in a hospital. And so it was an awful experience. It took a lot of counseling. And I never did have another child. We always wanted to have more. And so like
Oh,
I get it. I get where
yeah,
that's coming from. And of course, that's why I'm so loud and proud now, because I have to be.
you have
Because
to be.
James Cameron can go and appropriate our people, and make blue, I don't know, red face, and everybody's okay with, Red Deer Chiefs. And I'm so tired of it. Like I told
I
people,
know.
Kelly Fraser was this wonderful Inuk who was singing whatever the pop song of the day was. One of the last things she posted before she committed suicide was for the Edmonton Eskimos to change their name. And they finally did, but she had to die in order for people to understand this hurts our spirit. Like racism is so rampant. And that's why I speak out. And I'm glad that you really brought it back to that concept of that we are beautiful people and we are doing amazing things, which we are. We are disproportionately more sober than non-Indigenous people, actually. You just see us homeless more because of all of the other oppressions placed upon us,
Yeah.
and it makes me so angry the way the narrative is in the media about us. So that's why I'm so grateful you would come on here to talk about it. And, we're going to air this immediately as fast as we can, because you're one of those people that, you actually are a rock star. You legitimately play guitar, play to crowds. You are legitimately a rock star. So I know you're like good to go. I can put it up right away. But yeah, it's tough. And I don't know. We're loud. I got shamed by some contact of mine, fucker. They said to me, "How dare you swear? You're so brilliant." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, I have the fucking right to swear when we're in the middle of a
Mhm.
genocide. If you can't hear the word genocide because I said the F word before it, what the hell is wrong with you?
I
Racist?
I am at that point where I have to say, the last couple of years, I've been very, very upset, let down, angered. I'm very, very, like I said, very open with it. I don't want to be nice about it anymore.
Yeah.
I have been swearing at certain things and places where I couldn't help it because I am just so fed up.
Yes.
And I watch others, try to navigate through this. And it's like, don't you understand that it's a daily survival, and this trauma bleeds into our everyday, every single day. And I just don't and people don't understand what that truth is. It's like, well, the truth is the government doesn't want to do any stats on us because they don't want to put up a case against themselves. And also they need to profit off of the suffering of our people. So they profit off of all that, everything awful. So if they fix what's awful, where does the money come from? Right? So they don't want to do that. They don't want to fix anything. And then they don't want us powerful, and they don't want us doing anything because they don't want us coming back to take back what's ours. All of it. Right? So it just makes no sense to me that we continue on and doing what is insane. We're doing the same stuff. This is insane. So if we know this country is unwell, it's up to us to start doing something. And it's grassroots, and it's from ground up. And here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are planting the seeds. Here we are making the growth. But everyone is stuck this high in the weeds. And us ground people have to open that and say, okay, this is what it is. Take it for what you want. If you want to keep in your ignorance, then you contribute to the problem in
Yep.
this country
Yep.
every single day. And that, my friend, is upon your spirit and on your soul.
Yes. Yes. I don't know how folks sleep at night. Like it is shocking to me. Yeah, I don't.
I don't sleep very well, and I haven't
No,
slept
I
since work.
I
Oh
was
my
watching
God.
Star Wars just to try to
Oh
get
my
my mind
God.
off of this.
Oh my God. I we know why. It's just those are the walls, right? So here we are trying to take down these brick by bricks. That's not how it is. Like if everyone can stay up there, we just got to come back down here and create our own, because we are the foundation. We stand upon each other.
Yeah.
We're the foundation together,
Yeah.
right? So as long as we bring and here's the thing, we need all our people to stop with the lateral violence. That's the prevention. We are building our own walls between each other, and
Yeah.
this is not working if we're not together.
Mm.
And they don't see us as a united front, as a united community. They will still continue to do the divide. And
Yeah.
they do the divide even through media every single day, right? So you read the new, you watch the news, you read the newspapers, you're taking in controlled and agenda information, right? Right? So like it's up to you. It's up to you. But you can't dip your toe into the pool of knowledge anymore. There's so many lies, so many smoke screens, so much distraction, so much separation. That's what they want. That's what they want. And as long as we fight between each other, we let them win all day long. So I think what the key thing here too is loving ourselves enough to love each other, and then knowing the urgency of unity, which is something that I do teach, is the urgency of unity. I do not let anybody who is in their pain and in their anger take my power. I
Yeah.
don't give it to them. I
Yeah.
don't give it to them. They're not allowed to take it, because I need this power for where it's supposed to be. To take this power and give an uppercut to the other power, right?
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
just, you know,
Yep.
and that's what we have to do. But we need each other more than ever right now. This is the critical call out, but it's also the critical take in of unity that we need. Our people need to be together, and our nations have to come together, even though they're suffering and they don't have what they need. But if they just get that love inside their spirit comes back to them, and it empowers all of us, and it makes us this. So this is white man way. Rank this in the president and people and the staff and the people down here, that's all colonized.
Yeah.
And many of our nations and the chief and council, that's not our way. That's not our way. Everyone was a circle. Everyone was a village. Everyone had a role.
Yeah.
That's what we got to get back to. That's what we have to get back to. Everyone was equal. We were all here on this earth, and the teepee to the sky, and all of those beautiful teachings,
Yeah.
that on top is open. We just need to be open.
Oh,
We need to
God,
be
yes.
open and take back those traditional roles, and things were taken away from us women that we originally had. And
Yes.
right now we need all the power that we need. We need our own people to give it back to us and say, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're not going to judge. We're not going to separate. We're not going to shame. And real elders and real people who love their people would never do that.
Mm-mm.
So when you find beautiful energy, loving people who know our ways, hold them close. Hold them close.
Yeah.
Because if you're not healthy in this work, you're doing a lot of damage. And we have some of our people in these top roles where they're supposed to be doing their job, and it's not happening and trickling down. So we have to be careful of that too.
Agreed, my friend. I think about the resources that are available. Like at the end of every podcast, I give a bunch of numbers, things like that. But at the end of the day, like I think of there's a new organization in Calgary here called Walls Down Collective, and we have the Bear Clan Patrol here in Calgary. And I've been watching them give out food hampers all over the last few days, and I just, like we are doing the work, 100%, and it's just unfortunate that folks don't see it, they don't highlight it, they don't talk about it. And I know that it's available. People are still promoting the dope team here in Calgary, and I mean, I'm not that against it, but it's the other problem with that is that our people experience racism, and it's like a prison when they're in the shelters there. That's why a lot of our women disproportionately not go to the shelters, because they're not safe for them. And, the white city officials are like, well, we do have enough space and blah, blah, blah. But I hear all the time our people being, basically incarcerated in there, basically treated poorly, raped, and of course they don't want to go there. Of course they don't. And when you're in the middle of addiction, because all of these ones are Christian based. So if you're in the middle of an addiction, they're not going to help you. Like, I'm so tired of this lie that these white politicians put out there. That's just simply not true.
And the other thing too is I just recently been trying to make these relationships, because I'm just like, okay, well, I some of this funding opportunities, they say, oh, girl, we do have money for you. We're gonna do this for you, and it's there. But they make it so difficult for us to take it when they know damn well that when it comes to Indigenous educations in our communities, especially, it's not present. Like, and you're making this very, very difficult when you should be thinking of how do we make it easier for them to get these funding and get this on the ground. How do we make it easy for them to do it? They're not thinking of who they're serving, and they never have, and they never will. So,
well, and they are serving a very specific demographic, the business rich white people. That's who they're serving. And so as of today, for the first time, a middle-class Calgarian is freezing in Chinook Station because they took the doors off because they wanted to get rid of all of the Indigenous people. That, like, this is the irony, and this is what I get so angry when we have these deep freezes and Calgarians are like, oh my God, it's so cold. And I'm like, you literally stole land. You literally are the worst treaty partners ever. You get to see the ramifications of the consequences of your votes, and then you have the audacity to hate us. The audacity, and honestly, taking the doors off of Chinook Station is really perpetuating hate against folks with addiction and folks with homelessness, which are disproportionately Indigenous, which is racist. And they just can't wrap their freaking brains around their gentrified, hippie, fun, segregated lives away. Like, they just can't get it. And I'm sad that they get to have hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to universities and have their doctorates and have their masters, and they can't figure out this something so damn simple.
Yeah,
It, I
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing is when I go out there to teach the people the truth and non-Indigenous people and say, this is the truth, this is what's going on. And I see the shock of on their face. It's like, come on, is everyone asleep? Like,
yeah.
really, are you asleep? Are
Yeah, and
you
then this
really,
is what
really in
happens.
slumber?
Steph, I'll say it, then you'll say it, and they'll be like, well, this person said it and this person said it, but you know what? I need a male chief to tell me. And then when they do and they sue, they're like, well, that was stupid. Like they never want to understand our issues. And I think like you were talking about that anger. I think I've just kind of come to that point where I know
Yeah.
non-Indigenous purposely don't want to understand. They don't purposely want to give, like we have the solutions that they purposely don't want to implement, which is the real truth that I'm
Hmm.
struggling with, because I
Hmm.
want to have hope. And so anyway, supporting Bear Clan, supporting Walls Down. There's a wonderful doctor who really cares about harm reduction here in Calgary. I support him as much as I can, even though he's white, because he's doing the work of trying to
Yeah.
do safe consumption sites illegally.
Yeah.
Things like that. Those things matter to me because at least he's trying. There's a community association in Banff Trail that really cares about Indigenous people and have created partnerships with us. These are the people I'm going to support. I'm going to have sacred fires in my backyard during full moons and important opportunities. Like all we can do is help ourselves the best we can, and that's obviously what I'm going to do.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing too, in my connection with Calgary, I have a strong connection, and I've been coming down a lot more. And Stephanie English and I have been very close for many, many years. And I just been talking to her recently here. She's in a healing space right now,
Yeah.
rightfully so. And when we did the march in Calgary, with Awadan and Stephanie and I were speaking there before COVID. They put it on them. They put it on them. It's like, why haven't you searched the landfill? And we've been saying that for years and years and years, even before all this,
Yep.
No, for years,
Yep.
Joey English matters.
Yep.
All our women and people matter. But I'm telling you right now, just like the residential school searches, if we search the landfills in this country, and they're able to have the technology to do this,
I
and with
know.
infrared and all of that, and canine and all of that, search and rescue and all of that, and they don't want to put the resources, and they don't want to do even anything to try to collect the money to do so, for it's a slap in the face. It's a stab to the gut. And we're right now, the stab to the gut now is coming up, and we feel just gutted.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
absolutely gutted. So I always think of Joey. I always think of her.
Yes.
And I know that they can get this done. We just got to keep demanding it. We got to keep on them. But at the same time, it's the fight. It's getting these non-Indigenous people to write letters and petitions and do all those things that they know how to damn well do,
Yes.
and be a part of this, because they're, as these Canadians, as these non-Indigenous Canadians sit here behind the fence and just look over and watch what is going on, and not realizing this is going to happen to them, and it's already starting to happen to them too.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, it's ridiculous. So we're gonna watch these human beings be treated like animals, and not even less than, and do nothing about it until they're the ones in the pen themselves, and they're trapped in it themselves. I'm telling you something, they don't get it, but
No.
one day they're going to get it, because it's going to come to their backyard. Then they're going to care. Then it's going to be too late. So I need everyone to write letters, do petitions for MLA, and change all policies and procedures that keep us under oppression and genocide. and systematic racism, and everyone needs to do it now. They
Yes.
know the truth of what happened to us with the kids being found in the ground. And here all of a sudden we had these people carrying, and orange shirts were everywhere, right? So like now you have to do better than that. You
Yep.
have to do more than that.
Yep.
We are in a critical call.
Yes.
This is the lives every day. We're losing people all the time. Now, if you go to aboriginalalert.ca, or my tie to Calgary now is the Missing Children Society of Canada. They started grassroots too. They started grassroots and independently too. And now they have a national child find app called Rescue app, Rescue without an E, and it's under Amber Alert, but it's a national alert system that they want for all children, all kids, Indigenous children as well, and children of color. They really, so I've been working with them. This has been really close and dear to my heart. And the woman who put this together, some of us have that survival. And this is just amazing to tell Indigenous children, you can be on a national alert system, you're included, and that you matter in this system. Now, they want to expand that, as Washington State did in the United States, to a national alert system for Indigenous peoples and their safety. So like, I couldn't believe Washington State did that, because they're how many steps behind us up here, down there. So I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Yep.
So here we are doing all of this here. Now we got this national this national alert system that includes Indigenous people, and we're going to keep fighting and keep going for that. But we want a national one for Indigenous people, because we are the ones in the dark. We are the ones surviving. We are the ones who are dying at a highest rate, though we're the lowest population. This is that truth.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah. I'm going to put this all up immediately. Is there a website you want to include on that specifically for the kids, so that I know to add that?
Yeah. We'll put it on Missing Children Society of Canada. Put on their website, and then you can go, and the Rescue app is there. Really important for all of our people to know that they can put up their missing there, and it really does work. 2,900 kids reunited with their families. 2,900.
That's great. That's no, I want that info, and I'll add it to the end of my podcast from now on as well, because like we give solutions. That's not the problem, obviously. But for me, I think the other thing, like you're saying, we need to write, like I'm going to write my letter to my city council and mayor, and give them the link to what I was talking about at the start, and just say, look, we got to do better. This is crazy how many people are literally dying in our streets because you don't want to give them proper, adequate, and never culturally appropriate healthcare, mental health care, house. Like it's just mind-boggling to me how racist this entire system is and how blind people are to it. So I can't thank you enough for, spending some time with me today and talking about this issue. We're going to throw it up right away so that we can just start talking about this. Like, I don't want people to enjoy their goddamn Christmas dinner knowing what's happening out there, that there are people freezing to death. Like, I can't wrap my head around this.
Yeah. I don't want any of this to die down. Do something. All of us can do something. There's some kind of action. There's some kind of talent you have. There's something that you can contribute in any small or large way. It's action. This is the age of action. And remember, we all have a raging fire within us that's burning right now. Share that warmth, but also share that wildfire. Let's get sparked up. Let's do our sit-in. Let's go back to our old tactics. Let's go back to our old tactics of action. But remember, we have to, as Indigenous communities, love one another, but love yourself first, and that'll solve everything.
Yes. God, I'm so glad we connected, because I needed that. I need to talk to somebody who understands what I'm saying. And I feel like there's not enough of us. And I know we're just alone, and we have to quit feeling alone. And now I'm going to start talking like Star Wars, so I got to get off of here. Be like, there's always hope. You're not alone. There's an army of us.
Right. And we're
Yeah.
taking back that power, man. We're taking back that power. We are
Yes.
in powerful places now. Don't
Yes.
let any this shit fool you. We are
No.
in powerful places now.
Yeah.
And we're going to channel that and bring that back. And our ancestors are going to be with us more than ever right now, and our missing and murdered and exploited loved ones more than ever. So the fight is on. Action is now.
Yes.
Words have been said. We need to move forward, and just thank you for everything that you do. It's such an honor to be with you here all the time. Thank you for
Stephanie,
everything.
you use your platform in such a great way. Like, and I am so happy that you do, so that we can try to shed spotlights on this. Because, I think of the Bridget Toleys, I think of the people who've been doing this work for decades,
Yeah,
Josie Dipanek, like they've
yeah.
been telling, they give the solutions, like what is it going to take for people to hear it. So and I know they silenced Buffy St. Marie, the CIA and FBI, and and I think, okay, Stephanie Harpe, the Harpe experience, the Stephanie Harpe experience, that's out there, like
It,
it's
it is,
it's
and
out there in
and we're
circles
coming to
that don't talk
Calgary.
about it.
And
Yeah.
we're coming to Calgary. So I will be opening up for Street Hearts January 27th at the Great Eagle. So I really would love all of you to come there. And I will be using that platform also to
Yes.
reach all Calgarians and be talking about and representing for our people and getting and hitting these masses of non-Indigenous people. And it's my pleasure and honor to do that, because when we do reach those people who want to change their hearts, it does make it safer for all of us. So we need to use that. And music brings us together. We need those endorphins. We need music more than ever right now as well. And I can put out message. So there will be message being said there. And just, I can't wait to be with you all in Calgary. So thank you so much. Asicho.
Oh, I miss you so much, seeing you in person. I love you.
I
Have a
love you too.
safe and happy holiday, the best we can, knowing what's happening.
Happy winter solstice, everybody. Hibernate, get strong for what we got to do next year.
That's right. Ole. Okay. I'm really proud that this podcast gives solutions. We have cultural safety training, cultural first aid in all of them to create a safer space for Indigenous people of color, those with disabilities, and LGBTQ2 plus to speak. Thank you to Cheryl Ward, Alicia Branch, Alicia Fritkin. Did I say Cheryl Ward, Chelsea Branch, and Alicia Fritkin right? Probably not. I think I just get used to saying it. Anyway, here to help.bc.ca has a part of what is Indigenous cultural safety and why I should care about it. Google it, folks. It's out there. There's info. Their work in cultural action tools like that are important. So please support Indigenous work like that as part of your reconciliation work. And I know, Stephanie, I've contacted with the St. Paul Reconciliation Group. We have a reconciliation group here in Calgary. Like, what are people doing? Do the work. Anyway, internalized racism, lateral violence is another form of violence marginalized and Indigenous people experience by the structure of racism imposed on these lands. Donna Bevins has a great resource file, a PDF on what is internalized racism. So if you go to racialequitytools.org, you'll find tons of information. Stephanie and I have talked about it today, and obviously keep doing that work so that you're not projecting your anger in the wrong places. If your anger is not being projected at the system, then you got your anger in the wrong space, folks. Do and don'ts for bystander intervention by American Friends Service Committee. So afsc.org. So if you see somebody being mistreated at the C train station, unfortunately, now it's the transit police and the police that are breaking up our people. They don't have the de-escalation techniques. So these will help you with that if you are seeing these things. Indigenous have been talking about the issues, sharing our traumas and reports, commissions, and public hearings, podcasts, just so it can be regularly disregarded. No more. Honor our words, honor the treaties, listen to politicians and their policies and platforms. I think I spoke how crappy they've been doing right now. Demand they implement the Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls to action, the recommendations of the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples, the multiple reports on child welfare reform, the yearly reports for that matter. violence prevention, and now 231 calls to justice from the National Inquiry on Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and Two-Spirit. And Stephanie rightfully talks about exploited men as well. When you impose poverty through policy, this is the result. So MMIEP, missing and murdered Indigenous exploited persons. That's the hashtag, folks. Provincially in Alberta, the Kenney government created 113 pathways to justice. So all the blue voters should be holding their blue MLAs to account on it. Follow the new Premier's Council on Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls work. Municipally in Calgary, we have the White Goose Flying Report. Denying these reports is a form of abuse called gaslighting. Our people are experiencing extreme racism in the education, justice, health, public institutions, with multiple reports that say the same things. Demand change from election platforms and politicians. If they don't understand colonialism, racism, privilege, and sexism, they literally have zero business running. Holy, this should be understood by everybody. So you can Google articles on how non-Indigenous Canadians can become allies. If after hearing this, you're feeling distress and you want to talk, you can call the First Nation and Inuit Hope for Wellness helpline at 855-242-3310. It is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you go to their website, hopeforwellness.ca, there is a little text area as well. If more related to missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit, you can call 844-413-6649. For non-Indigenous, there are distress center lines in your area, usually a functioning 211 in Alberta. And if not, you can call 833-456-4566. Again, join the reconciliation committees in your goddamn network. They're there. Mm-hmm. Just do the work with them. Yeah, I know this white saviorism, this idea that, oh my God, I can do this. I can do it all by myself. And no, one, it has to be Indigenous led. And two, it's already existing. So help the existing folks. Mm-hmm. Holy. If you, the following are LGBTQ2 plus crisis supports available across Canada. You can go to lifevoice.ca for a full listing, and you can go to Trans Lifeline at 877-330-6366. And the Trevor Project for LGBTQ youth has 866-844-7386. Obviously, the drug poisoning issue is across this country. We're just seeing the numbers, how awful they are. If you are using substances, do not use alone. If you are using alone, you can contact the National Overdose Response Service at 888-688-NORS for support, and download the Brave Indoors app. These are our safety plans created for if you are in addiction and you need help, to help you go through that moment as you're going through it. But I will say as well, it is never too late to start down the road of recovery. And if you relapse for whatever reason, no, you have had a relapse and you can start down that road of recovery again. I am trained in the White Bison Society. Google that if you are Indigenous, because that is a little more culturally relevant, with teachings more around the medicine wheel as opposed to the Christianity that's taught in all these stupid 12-step programs. I know 12 steps works for some people, but obviously the numbers are showing how many people are dying of drug poisoning. We need culturally relevant support, and there's not enough. And in Alberta, you have blue voters and blue politicians that are like, we don't want to give cultural support, and they don't. And then they impose more trauma with their imposed recovery, which is not, it's just jail. And that just creates more trauma, which fuels the addiction. Violence is my everyday reality. Every Indigenous generation has faced it. This is how I take my power back and how we give proper representation for our people. That's why I started this podcast, to speak freely without interruption, tone police, leadership shaming, gaslighting questions, as many people don't want to hear Indigenous voices and opinions, but sure want to tell us theirs when they don't know anything about us, colonialism, the constant surveillance of our people, protests, vigils, and our rights. I and many others share info daily on microaggressions, so it's unacceptable to say them anymore. Folks like me are dealing with internalized racism, gatekeeping, and folks who live off the status quo, who are so in their trauma that they stop people from doing the work and depleting personal resources. Internal and external racism is an everyday reality for me, Indigenous peoples, folks with disabilities, QT BIPOC, and others. Masi Cho to my ancestors. To my granny, who is dying of cancer, my mom, of what strength looks like through her example. I want to thank my dad for teaching me to be strong and blunt, my stepmom for showing me what a proud culture is through her Austrian family and roots, and teaching me to be a proud Calgarian. It is through her I am a second generation Calgarian. Thank you, Darcy, my husband, for producing and editing this show. On top of being my husband, childhood friend, and father of our child, he has been my support on my Red Road journey, and he has witnessed decades of racism and sexism. Oh, Stephanie, he was so affected by what happened at the Red Deer Radisson. It hurt him. You could just see it. Anyway, both him and Sam are struggling against strep right now. So I was,
Oh,
this is where we're at.
oh boy.
Um, to our child, Thunderpipe Necklace Woman, we are blessed to learn from you daily. We are honored you chose us. You give me daily accountability to be a better and stronger person. My hope is my daughter and my family will be proud in the future discussing these present day issues. My Patreon account is Native Calgarian, where you can pledge and support. Thank you, previous donors, for showing your support. If you value listening or watching and can afford to give, thank you. To those who cannot afford to give, I'd just love to hear from you at nativeyyc@gmail.com, where you can send in your comments or questions. I also have a YouTube channel. You can go and subscribe, and go to nativecalgarian.com for the latest podcasts and pin posts on social media. And I want to end by giving side eye to those Calgary rabbits. You're lucky I'm not tradish. My beautiful cousin would respond, or you'd be in my dish. So thank you for listening, folks.